New Gen Gamers.
But we must carry on.
Yes, indeed.
And this one we're playing again on the PlayStation 2 version of Intellivision Lives.
Speaking of which, just see the overlay. Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Wow.
Wow. I guess you can choose between the sun and the moon.
I think that's the coolest overlay yet.
Wow, that's...
Let's put it back on moon.
I don't think I can change it.
No.
But I like, and I love that about this compilation is all the 80s retro, artwork is great. Everything that was done by hand back then.
Yeah, they've kept the feel of all of it still with it. Yeah, it's still intact.
And I love that old artwork, even like the vinyl of the day and such. There was such an artistic view on it, and they would go out and get actual artists to make this. Not so much this stuff, but more like the 70s and 80s music industry, where drugs ran rampant and people did art and made a living off of it.
And turned art into drugs and drugs into art.
Exactly, and then died at an early age, but that's
due to
right.
art.
And now we can enjoy their masterpieces nowadays. And I think the frog bog has got less oppressive, so evidently one of those flies had LSD in it.
I think this sent a strong message to the leadership of the bog, and the frogs were freed.
Ah, look at that! What is that?
It's nighttime.
I guess that was a glow bug, a lightning bug.
Oh,
or something.
okay.
That or I don't know, a bird holding a lighter. I don't know what that was. So evidently they're sleeping.
They're very tired now.
You hear the crickets?
Yeah.
Listen to those crickets.
That's
chirp.
an awesome background noise that just keeps going over and over again.
So we're checking out high scores now.
So Ray's the highest scorer ever on this game. No one else has ever scored on this game.
There's no 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, or
just
10th
Ray.
Place. Just Ray. That's no ass, surprisingly.
Well,
usually there's an ass in there somewhere.
Okay.
Hold on. Different gameplay modes.
Alright, so
So-
we're going to check out a different gameplay mode here.
Yeah, here's some of the options within the Intellivision Lives disc. Some of the different ways you can do things and look at them. Oh, it's like a screensaver. Who would actually want to play with that?
I have no idea. Does that take up the challenge?
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for the
This
option,
is-
but I'm getting dizzy.
Yeah.
If I wanted to do this, I could just have someone shake the shit out
Or
of me.
just
while
spin
I
in
played
circles
it.
for a while.
know.
You know?
I guess that's how, in the classic arcade arena, that's how you brought things, or you made things more challenging.
At least with these ones, unlike the other Intellivision games we recorded doing
do
this,
that.
it's not going to be jumping around. The video will at least be
Stay in
still when
place.
it should be. Oh, there we go. Now
Wow.
that's art house.
That's Andy Warhol all the way. They were different colors. That's... I don't like this.
No, I'm not impressed.
I feel like, you remember Matrix 2 whenever, what was that guy's name? The old guy at the end, he's talking to Neo and all those,
I'm going to call him the
Even
curator.
yeah, the curator. Anyhow, that's...
Architect?
The
Architect,
Thank
yes.
you, Ray. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm pathetic.
I like curator.
Well, you know
All
what?
right.
Let's not do that anymore.
I think we've seen as much as Frogbog's going to let us. So, check it out.
Yep.
Let's view the box real quick.
Oh yeah, another thing.
No-
Be the-
Not
Woo!
a bad not a
at that
bad
artwork.
game.
box art.
I love
Nice
the artwork.
frog. That looks like a real frog. Not
Indeed.
some cartoony, cheesy frog. That's a real frog.
And they have information on all the games.
Frog
And
Bog
there's
was developed by Peter
Kaminsky.
and Tom
Sully and
Sol
Solanil.
released in 1982. It sold over 3,500. I'm not good with big
A
A third of a
cartridges.
million.
Nice.
Alright.
All right.
Okay, well, let's move on.
Ladies and gentlemen, now presenting Tron in Solar Sailor.
The Intellivision had more Tron games per capita than any other video game system ever.
And I think it really needed to. I could go into the history of Tron a little bit. You know, it's interesting that Tron was a movie. I can't remember who the director was, but basically he went into an arcade and saw all these individuals playing these arcade games and became very intrigued by the idea of what would be the world inside the video game. And so Tron, if you've ever watched the movie, is a very cyberpunk type story, you know, released by Disney, and actually they're working on a sequel right now, and starring Olivia Wilde from House fame. If anyone likes House, she plays 13 on House.
And
Anyhow,
and people live inside of the computers, and they run around on the motherboards and circuit boards and
try to defeat User Commander or whatever his name was. And we'll get to a game with him in it here in a bit.
It's really goofy sci-fi, but
very fun, and pushing 3D graphics like had never been seen before.
Yeah.
Interesting concepts going on, you know, computers living and such, having emotions, having feelings.
And it was done by Disney, which of course means an opportunity for tons of tie-ins.
Absolutely.
And it seemed like a perfect game to match up with the Mattel Intellivision. So we will be playing three amazing Tron-related video games.
Absolutely.
And here you can see you're traveling along inside of a computer or something,
or
with computer spiders trying to get you. I'm not sure.
It's almost as esoteric as the movie is. Enjoy that, ladies and gentlemen. So let's kind of continue along what we were talking about, the progression of the Intellivision.
Yes, the progression of the Intellivision with the Intellivision.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about the Blue Sky Rangers. It's kind of an interesting concept. When Mattel, they were looking for cheap ways to make games in the beginning. Eventually, what they did, one of the really cool concepts, is they went out to college students and asked them to create video games just for part of their studies. Basically, free video games for them. Eventually, they did have a group of individuals, though, that became their mainstay. And I have the list of the names here I'd like to tell you, because I think it's only proper to give these men and women the right credit. Thank you.
Yeah, the Blue Sky Rangers were a fully ran within the Mattel company set of developers, basically engineers and people that wanted to design games, and they wanted as many original titles as possible for the cost factor, and just so that they could say that the Atari and the other home systems didn't have it. So go ahead and read us those names.
Gabriel Baum. I'm really bad with names. Gabriel Baum, Dan Duglow, Rick Levine, Mick Mickoff, or I think that's how you say that, and John Shaw. And one of the interesting things about the Blue Sky Rangers is we'll get into the lore even further. And Mattel hid the names of these people. They just called them the Blue Sky Rangers. One of the reasons they did this is they were afraid that Atari would come in and scoop up their developers. They didn't want to have their names out there. And it's interesting as we get along and we go through the history. We'll see the return of the Blue Sky Rangers in 1997 whenever they buy the rights to the Intellivision and start kind of doing retro remakes of these for home consoles, PC, and also for cell phones.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of return of the classic Intellivision games by the original developers.
Yeah, we'll get into them more later, because after Mattel was done with the Intellivision, they bought out the full rights to it. So that was something we've never really seen with too many systems, where the people that developed for it wanted to see it carry on, and games were still made for years later, and up to the late 80s, and there's still homebrew stuff that's made today. So
yeah, and it's a big internet craze. A lot of Intellivision fans can find a home for their games on the internet, and they can refine them and still play them and enjoy them.
And so as you go along here, you've got to travel down these routes and shoot the spider things. These games are a lot of interpretation. Let me grab the box and see exactly what these things are supposed to be.
Hey! Mr. Intellivision.
Plimpton.
I bet it's great doing all those Intellivision commercials. I bet you get to keep all the games. Me and my friends like Night Stalker the best. Bats are real scary.
Here, your friends won't have this new one. Lock and Chase.
They won't believe this. Would you autograph it for me?
Certainly. What's your name?
My name?
New Gen Gamer.